Welcome back to the Alice Stewart Show, 7:36 on a nice sunny Tuesday morning, and the clock is ticking for members of Congress to head out in their districts and work in the districts and get quite a lot of things done back here, but there is still a lot of things to do in Washington before they break for recess. And here to talk about that, I'm joined with our congressman here. Congressman Tim Griffin joins us on the Royal Overhead Door Hotline. Congressman, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, I feel like we need to talk fast because there are so many things to talk about. We'll start with the border crisis and the tens of thousands of illegal immigrants coming in from Central America, going all over the country. Tennessee had a little anger, a little frustration. The governor there, a busload of folks came and he didn't know. So you have sponsored legislation, co-sponsored legislation saying that governors need to be notified about the relocation of unaccompanied minors to their states.
Yeah, I mean, didn't it seem to you that the federal government was going to place a number of unaccompanied minors in your state, particularly in light of all of the press attention that this issue's been getting? Didn't it seem to you that it would be common sense that the federal government would inform the governor of the state to let them know that, hey, your Department of Human Services and your other agencies need to know this. We're going to let you know that this is happening. But you know what? That's not the way the federal government operates.
No, it'd be common sense and common courtesy, if you ask me.
I mean, I was talking to an Arkansas state legislator yesterday who said that he had spoken with some folks in Arkansas state government, one of the agencies. They had no idea what was going on. So let me sort of bring us up to speed, if I could, on this issue. So when this story first started developing, I asked the key agencies, Homeland Security, HHS, and even DOD. I think we were talking to all of them, sort of saying, okay, look, what facility are you going to place a number of these unaccompanied minors and others in Arkansas, if any? Because we had heard obviously about Oklahoma and Fort Sill and some other places, and they said, we have no plans to do that. We have no plans. We have no facilities in Arkansas. And I said, okay. Well, we kept checking. And we also said, okay, but let us know, would you? And then just because people want to know, the government, state government wants to know, you know. So Thursday or so, a story hit on the AP wire, Associated Press, that basically showed where unaccompanied minors had been placed around the country. Now, that's not in facilities, that's with sponsor families, which, as a general matter, having asked all the questions on this, as a general matter, that's relatives, legal guardians, cousins, what have you, family members. So they've been placed around the country. Well, you would think that they would have told us that.
Right.
I think it's 166 placed in Arkansas, the last number, and but they didn't tell anybody. And so yesterday, a buddy of mine introduced Adrian Smith of Nebraska. He introduced a bill that would just basically say, look, HHS or Homeland Security have to notify the governor of the state within 48 hours. Why? Well, as I said, Department of Human Services and these other agencies need to know, because ultimately they're going to be the ones, in many cases, having to assist or manage this issue back in the state. So this seems like common sense.
Oh, well, Congressman, why do you think it is they're not? I mean, clearly it would help facilitate the process for them to notify. Why are they not?
There
Political?
are a whole host of reasons. I think for the most part, in many times the federal government just thinks, if I don't have to, so I'm not. And that's why you got to make it a have to. And even then they may not. We have to make sure that the law is followed the best we can. But I think they think, look, we don't have to tell anybody. We're not going to tell them.
Is there also
to a lot of these folks, it's just another thing to do that they don't want to do. And this is so basic. You would think they would tell the member of Congress whose district where they're placing the folks, and that would be particularly when the member of Congress and his staff have been asking, where are they going? Can you tell us? Can you tell us? Can you tell us? Oh, look, here's 166. We forgot to tell you.
If nothing else, right? If nothing else, so you could possibly help out in the transition of them. But in my view, I think it's political. We're coming up on a midterm election, and this is not a good storyline for the administration or Democrats.
Well, it's not like it's going to be done in secret. I mean, we're going to know. The one thing I've learned in politics is it will be known at some point. And it helps. Communication between the federal government and the state government helps on every front, and it's also a citizen's right to know. So, in any event, I co-sponsored this bill. It's a pretty common sense deal. My understanding is it's going to be wrapped into our broader bill. I think we're voting on Thursday, and let me tell you. I know. Let me pivot to that for a second. The border security bill that we're going to pass is really, really. I started getting glimpses of it yesterday. It's a really good bill. Kay Granger of Texas, Congresswoman Kay Granger of Texas, has led this little working group. She's being from Texas. She's familiar with the issue. She went down to the border. She flew down to. I think she flew to Guatemala and Colombia and a number of other countries. Talked with a lot of the folks down there about this problem, and they came back with some really good recommendations. And here's the beauty of this bill that we're going to pass. It is the president wanted about $4 billion. It's less than $1 billion. It's all funding that has already been allocated, so we're just moving dollars around. It's all paid for. Normally, things are not paid for. A lot of times, things are not paid for in Washington. They're over 10 years. We try to pay for them, even though the spending's in 1 year. But this is a tight package targeted at the things that they need, that the president and we as a country need to secure the border. Not a bunch of other nonsense, which was in the president's proposal. That's the way it is. They'll see a problem. They'll say, "Oh, we need legislation. We need," and so the president will propose, "Oh, okay. Well, look, while we're asking them for money, let's just add in a bunch of other stuff while we're here."
It's $3 billion.
Like when you go to Walmart to get batteries. Do you ever come out with just batteries?
No, I come out with a cart full.
That's the way this is.
Well, I want one last question on this, and then we're going to go to break. We have a lot of other things, but as you know, the president asked for $4 billion to deal with this. The House Republicans have worked it down to a workable solution of less than
$700 million is what it ended up being.
Less than $1 billion. You'll pass it. It'll move on. Do you see this passing in the Senate, or do you see going to break and nothing happened, and the president being able to blame House Republicans?
Look, he can always. He's going to always blame us, but I tell you what, this is a great bill. The Senate needs to take it up. Let me give you one example real quickly. So federal regulations do not allow for Border Patrol to go on federal lands. What? You may be thinking, what are you talking about? Yeah, so there are federal lands, parks, and what have you. Border Patrol can't go on there. So what happens? Well, so folks coming across the border illegally often know that if they can just get on some of these federal lands, they will get away from the Border Patrol. That's insane.
Right.
So what are we doing? We're fixing it. We're saying, no, the Border Patrol can go wherever they need to go to locate the individual in question. So that's just one example. What our bill also does is it funds National Guard but leaves them under state control. So the states will be able to use their National Guard, and the feds are going to help pay for it if it's involving securing the border. That's been one issue that Governor Perry has had in Texas. He has access. Obviously, he's the commander of the National Guard as the governor, commander-in-chief of the National Guard. But it costs a lot of state money that a lot of these states can't spend or don't want to spend, although he's dedicated some money to it. What we're going to say is, look, we're going to pay for you to use them, and that does not mean federalize them. We're going to allow them to be under the state's control, but we're going to pay to the extent they're using them to secure the border. The National Guard should have been down there from the get-go.
Yeah, no doubt.
No
doubt. Oh, we're going to have to take a quick break, and I want to come back and ask you about a couple of the other key things, the Veterans Administration's progress there.
Historic agreement on veterans, historic.
Yep, I'll talk about that. We'll take a break, and we'll come back with Congressman Tim Griffin after this.